Emeka, I need money for my antenatal appointment, she said sweetly. Emeka looked at her coldly. Ask the father of the baby, Oma. I know everything. In the bustling city of Lagos, Emeka was a successful businessman known for his sharp mind and wealth. He had built his fortune from the ground up, living a life of luxury and ease. Despite his success, Emeka was burdened by a promise he had made to his mother. At the age of 35, he had delayed marriage for too long, and his mother had taken it upon herself to find him a suitable bride from their village. Emeka returned to the village reluctantly, where he met Chidinma, a quiet and modest young woman. Their mothers had already arranged everything, and Chidinma was pregnant with his child after a brief encounter they had the previous year. Emeka barely knew her, but the traditional customs and his mother's insistence left him with little choice. As they traveled back to Lagos, Chidinma's heart was a mix of excitement and apprehension. She had always had a crush on Emeka, even as a young girl, and now she was carrying his child. She hoped that in time, he would come to love her. When they arrived at Emeka's luxurious home, he turned to her with a stern expression. Chidinma, you're only here because our mothers arranged this. Don't expect anything from me. We don't know each other, and I already have someone I care about. Chidinma nodded, her heart sinking. She felt the weight of his words but remained hopeful that things could change. Chidinma's new life in Lagos was far from what she had imagined. Emeka's girlfriend, Oma, was a constant presence in the house. Oma was beautiful, sophisticated, and deeply resentful of Chidinma's presence. She made no effort to hide her disdain, often going out of her way to make Chidinma's life difficult. One evening, Emeka and Oma had a heated argument. Why are you letting your mother control you, Emeka? How could you bring her here and marry her? Oma's voice was sharp with anger. Emeka sighed, frustrated. I didn't have a choice, Oma. I delayed for too long, and my mother insisted. You know how important family is to me. Oma scoffed. Important enough to ruin our lives? Their arguments became a regular occurrence, and Chidinma found herself caught in the middle. She served them both, cooked, cleaned, and even begged for money for her antenatal appointments. Emeka provided little support, too focused on his work and placating Oma. One day, Oma visited Emeka with surprising news. Emeka, I'm pregnant, she announced, a smug smile on her face. I'll be moving in permanently. Emeka was stunned. He loved Oma, but the idea of her living under the same roof as Chidinma was daunting. However, his love for Oma clouded his judgment, and he agreed. What Emeka didn't know was that Oma had been involved with an older man, Chief, who had gotten her pregnant. Chief had given her money for an abortion, but Oma decided to pin the pregnancy on Emeka instead. Months passed, and the household was fraught with tension. Arguments between Oma and Chidinma became frequent, but Chidinma, ever the quiet one, kept to herself and continued her duties. She began to meet other women at her antenatal appointments who opened her eyes to how poorly she was being treated. Chidinma, you deserve better, one of the women, Amina, said. You're beautiful and strong. Start taking care of yourself, dress well, and make Emeka notice you. Inspired, Chidinma began to take better care of her appearance. She styled her hair, wore beautiful dresses, and her transformation did not go unnoticed. Men began to admire her, and even Emeka couldn't help but see the change. Oma's presence in the house brought constant strife. One afternoon, Chidinma was cooking in the kitchen when Oma walked in, her face twisted with disdain. You think dressing up will make Emeka love you? You're just a village girl, and nothing can change that, Oma sneered. Chidinma remained silent, focusing on her cooking. But Oma's taunts grew louder. You're nothing but a servant here. Remember that. Unable to hold back any longer, Chidinma turned to face Oma. I am Emeka's wife, just like you claim to be. You have no right to treat me this way. Oma laughed mockingly. Wife. You're a burden he's forced to carry. If you had any self-respect, you'd leave. The argument escalated, and Emeka, hearing the commotion, rushed into the kitchen. What's going on here? Oma is always provoking me, Emeka. I can't take it anymore, Chidinma cried, tears streaming down her face. Emeka looked at Oma, his frustration evident. Oma, you need to stop this. Chidinma is my wife, and she deserves respect. Oma scoffed. Respect? For her? You must be joking. You brought her here, not me. As the weeks went by, the tension in the house only grew worse. One evening, Oma approached Emeka, her tone accusatory. Emeka, you need to get rid of Chidinma. She doesn't belong here. I can't live with her any longer. Emeka sighed, exasperated. Oma, I can't just throw her out. She's carrying my child. Oma's eyes flashed with anger. So am I, or have you forgotten? Choose, Emeka. It's her or me. Caught between his love for Oma and his duty to Chidinma, Emeka felt trapped. The household became a battleground, and Chidinma often retreated to her room to escape the constant fighting. One night, overwhelmed and desperate, Chidinma called her mother in the village. Mama, I don't know what to do. Oma is making my life unbearable, and Emeka does nothing to stop her. Her mother's voice was filled with concern. Chidinma, my child, you must stay strong. Remember why you're there. This will pass, and you will find happiness. Focus on your child and take care of yourself. Her mother's words gave Chidinma the strength to endure the hardships. She continued to dress well and take care of her appearance, hoping that one day Emeka would notice and appreciate her efforts. One evening, after returning from work, Emeka was resting in his room when he heard Oma in the kitchen talking on the phone. He quietly approached and overheard her conversation. No, I haven't aborted the baby, Oma whispered. Chief thinks I did, but I've pinned it on Emeka instead. He has no idea. Emeka felt a wave of shock and betrayal wash over him. He retreated to his room, his mind racing. The next morning, Oma approached him with a request. Emeka, I need money for my antenatal appointment, she said sweetly. Emeka looked at her coldly. Ask the father of the baby, Oma. I know everything. Oma's face turned pale. Emeka, what are you talking about? He recounted what he had heard the previous night. I want you out of my house, Oma. Now. Oma begged and cried, but Emeka was resolute. She had betrayed him, and there was no forgiveness for that. With Oma gone, Emeka turned his attention to Chidinma. He realized how unfairly he had treated her and how much she had endured. He began to make amends, cooking for her, taking her to antenatal appointments, and trying to get closer to her. Chidinma, I'm sorry for everything, Emeka said one evening. I've been blind to how much you've suffered. Can we start over? Chidinma was hesitant. Emeka, you've hurt me deeply. It's not easy to forget that. I know, he replied. But I want to try. For our child, for us. Emeka's sincerity began to break down Chidinma's walls. She saw the effort he was making and slowly began to soften towards him. One day, after a particularly good day together, Emeka asked, "Chidinma, what do you want for our future?" Chidinma thought for a moment. "I want us to be a family, Emeka. I want love, respect, and happiness for our child." Emeka took her hand. "I promise to give you that, Chidinma. Let's build that future together." As the months passed, Emeka and Chidinma's relationship grew stronger. They learned to communicate, to respect each other, and to build a life based on mutual love and understanding. The past was not forgotten, but it was a lesson that guided their future. When Chidinma went into labor, Emeka was by her side, holding her hand through the pain. Their child, a beautiful baby boy, was born healthy and strong. Emeka looked at his son with tears in his eyes, grateful for the second chance at happiness. "Thank you, Chidinma," Emeka whispered, holding her close. "For everything." Chidinma smiled, feeling the warmth of their new family. "We did it together, Emeka. This is our new beginning." Their story became a lesson in the village about forgiveness, resilience, and the power of true love. Emeka and Chidinma's journey was not easy, but it led them to a place of deep understanding and unbreakable bond. The scars of the past were healed with time, and their love flourished, bringing them closer than ever. In the end, Emeka and Chidinma built a happy home filled with laughter, love, and the joy of their growing family. The trials they faced only made their love stronger, proving that true happiness comes from overcoming challenges together. The village watched as Emeka and Chidinma's love story unfolded, inspired by their strength and dedication to each other. It was a story of redemption and the beautiful transformation that can occur when two hearts come together in genuine love and understanding.